The shocking news from Berlin. What comes to light in the Bundestag today could shake the entire political system. A secret deal, a possible alliance in the shadows, and a chancellor raging furiously. Friedrich Merz. Officially, it's about the so-called new basic security. But in truth, it's about much more. About power, about betrayal, and about the survival of the Grand Coalition. The SPD and CDU are under pressure. The Jusos are rebelling. Social associations are worried, and millions of citizens are wondering what is actually happening in our country. Can this still be a coincidence, or is there a bigger plan behind it? Federal Chancellor Friedrich Merz defends the tightening of basic security, formerly known as citizens' income, with all his might. The message is clear and hard-hitting. Anyone who does not attend appointments at the job center will face the complete withdrawal of all benefits in the future, not only money, but also support for housing. Merz said verbatim, "No one in Germany will become homeless, but those who do not participate at all, who do not even report to the job center, apparently do not need the help of the state." With this statement, he unleashed a political bomb because over 5 million people are directly affected. Frank, 5 million. This number is now in the room. It stands for existences, families, homes, fates, but it doesn't stop at the sober number. The SPD itself, a coalition partner, an alleged guarantor of social security, begins to falter. Labor Minister Bärbel-Baas defends the plans. Anyone who participates has nothing to fear. But these very words feel like a slap in the face to many people. Because what does participating mean here? Anyone who is sick, who is psychologically burdened, who simply gets lost in the chaos of the authorities, will be mercilessly punished with these rules. Critics speak of an attack on the weakest, and the Jusos, the youth organization of the SPD, are sounding the alarm. Juso chief Philipp Thurmer warns that this is an unjustified and unsocial vote of no confidence against job seekers, and sees in it the danger that millions of people will be driven into poverty and existential hardship. The managing director of the Paritatische Wohlfahrtsverband, Joachim Rock, agrees and speaks of a policy of social coldness. The outrage is even louder in Bavaria. Benedikt Leng, head of the Jusos Bavaria, calls the reform a farce and completely unacceptable. He says that the SPD has been driven by campaigns, and one has to ask whether the SPD leadership still feels anything. The word betrayal is openly used. Betrayal of their own voters, betrayal of the principles of social democratic politics. For many, it is clear that with this decision, the SPD has finally said goodbye to its roots. Instead of standing up for workers and the needy, it follows Merz's line relentlessly. Cold, calculating, but behind the scenes, something even more dangerous is brewing. Insiders say that parts of the SPD are in contact with the AfD, secret talks, possible alliances officially denied. But in Berlin, there is whispering. Has the SPD sought contact with the opposition in order to put pressure on Merz? For Merz, that would be a breakthrough. He himself is said to have reacted angrily because he knows that if the SPD tips, Black-Red is facing the end. Such a scenario would be historic. Black-Red, for decades a symbol of stability, could collapse like a house of cards. And in the middle of this chaos, a party would benefit. The AfD, the old parties, the establishment, the globalists and the system media, they all preach. This reform is necessary to create work incentives. But what is the reality? The reality is that people who do not fit into the rigid grid can lose everything from one day to the next. The reality is that millions of citizens are afraid of losing their homes. The reality is that this policy is jeopardizing social peace. And meanwhile, Germany is giving away millions abroad. 29 million euros alone for humanitarian aid in Gaza, announced by Merz almost in the same breath as he threatens the Germans with harsh cuts. Can this be a coincidence? Billions for foreign countries, but harsh sanctions for one's own people. Lawyers have long warned of a constitutional crisis. The Federal Constitutional Court has repeatedly emphasized that the socioeconomic subsistence level must be guaranteed. A complete cessation of benefits could be considered unconstitutional, but Merz counters. The Federal Constitutional Court has never set such narrow limits for the legislator. In other words, the government believes it is above fundamental rights, a dangerous arrogance of power. If this law actually comes into force in 2021, Karlsruhe could once again become the scene. This time with the question, is the government breaking the basic law? The list of names is long. The fronts are clear. Friedrich Merz. The Chancellor is pushing the reform forward. Burbelbas defends it in the Morning magazine. Philipp Thurmer and Benedikt Lang call for resistance. Joachim Rock warns of poverty. The Greens and the left see a violation of the Constitution. The SPD base is divided, and in the background is the AfD, which has long pointed out that this shows that the old parties are incapable of leading the country fairly. The establishment unmasks itself. Black-red is fighting for its survival, while millions of citizens have long lost patience. Internationally, a bleak picture emerges. In France, protests against pension reforms. In Italy, social cuts by Meloni. In Poland, discussions about compulsory labor. In the USA, no service without return has been valid for years, and Germany joins this wave of social hardship. The CDU cheers a return to Agenda 2000, but millions of Germans remember Hartz IV, humiliation, bureaucracy, poverty, despite work. It's like a déjà vu, only harder, only more merciless, only more dangerous. And while Merz smiles at press conferences, while SPD leaders downplay everything, the uprising is growing outside. Jusos are calling for a blockade. Demonstrations are being prepared. Families, trade unions, social associations, they all warn. The mood is heating up. Trust in the government is collapsing. Black-red loses the base, loses credibility, loses the people. And if the SPD is actually playing with the AfD in the background, then that is more than just a political maneuver. It is a tectonic shift in power relations. It is the end of the old order. Once again, the numbers, so that they burn into your memory. Frank. 5 million citizens income recipients. From 2026, they face a 100% reduction. In the worst case, homelessness. 29 million euros in foreign aid. While cuts are being made at home, a year of decision, a law that can shatter social peace, and a government that, in the name of discipline, is prepared to push people into nothingness. That is the truth. That is the catastrophe. That is the betrayal. Germany is at a turning point. Do we accept a policy that drives millions of people into poverty? Or do we draw the consequences? Choose a new path. Break with the old parties. The AfD is gaining popularity every day because it presents itself as the only alternative. The Union, the SPD, the Greens, they are losing. They are losing credibility. They are losing trust. They are losing the people. And at some point, they will also lose power. That is not a threat. That is a fact. Because a people that is betrayed cannot be deceived forever. The revolt is growing. The dissatisfaction is growing. The will for change is growing. And in the end, it is not Merz who decides, not Bas, not Scholz, not Brussels. In the end, it is the people who decide. What do you think about it? Write your opinion in the comments. Press like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. The truth must become louder than ever before. Note: this video is based on publicly available news sources, including Welt, Tagesspiegel, and DPA. It is political commentary and analysis. Individual information may change as new facts become available. This video does not claim to be absolutely complete or error-free. Bye.